Hi everyone, Nick Credicos here. Just give me 1 second while we pull up the feed in the group, make sure that we are live before we get started. I'm here with 4 of my friends. We got Becca, we got Tessa, we got Taryn, and we got Tanya. They're going to help read off some comments just because, sometimes my phone glitches a little bit. But what we're going to be doing is creating a mailbox cover. I'm going to be using some scrap materials that I have from the Creator's Digest project. So if you did purchase that and you plan on replicating that, this is going to kind of match that design nicely. So we have some scrap ribbon. I'm going to keep this in kind of the gold and silver color scheme. It's going to be kind of a winter piece. This will be, you can keep this up, well through March. At least here in New England, we have snow on the ground till April, and at least these colors are kind of neutral, and it's not too Christmassy. But the nice thing about this is you could add touches of other holidays. So you could add a couple little leprechauns, you could add a couple hearts for Valentine's Day. Hi, you guys. So I purchased this from Craft Outlet. I know I said I was going to be looking for other styles. However, this is the only one I could find. And they said that they will be getting them early next year. Hopefully they get them within, a month or so. But this is a mailbox cover from Craft Outlet. It was about $10. I also used this for a tutorial on Home Talk. It was the elf tutorial with the legs and the top hat. So if you plan on using this, you could use it, on the wall as a door swag or as a mailbox piece. All I'm doing is just fluffing it lightly. I'm not going to go too crazy with making sure it's perfect right now until we place it onto the mailbox. Hey everybody. So this is on a wire frame. So all I'm going to do is essentially just bend it to shape till it fits nicely on top. So obviously it's pointing out too far, so I'm going to bend it a little bit more so that it comes down more of at an angle. Until it's sitting exactly where I like it. Okay, so I kind of like that placement, but I still want it a little bit tighter so that it fits snugly on the mailbox. So I'm just bending the wire. This is pretty thick wire. So once you place it onto your mailbox, you can tighten it a little bit tighter. If you have a metal mailbox, you could probably use some command strips or the plastic versions to attach it securely. But, with the tension that this is going to have, it should sit perfectly fine on the mailbox. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the branches down around it just to make sure that there's no bare spots showing. Just like that. All right. So like I said, we have scrap materials. Here's a little bit of kind of like chicken wire, but it's covered in a little bit of snow, which I think is perfect for winter. Hey, you guys. We have some of these. These came from Hobby Lobby. They were 99 cents. My Hobby Lobby still has a lot of them. Right now it's 80% off, so they are 20 cents each if you are still able to find them. And if not, they're just basic picks with some glitter on it. So you can find them at any craft store or order them online. So we have several of those. I have some of these picks. These are just kind of like a champagne gold. So this design would work for New Year's because the color is champagne. But this will work perfectly fine for all of winter. So what I'm doing is I'm just snipping off a few pieces. So here we have 2 whole picks, and then I have a few pieces throughout that we can incorporate. Happy New Year's. It's crazy how it's already a new year, you guys. I also have some of these gold magnolia leaves. This is also in that champagne color. If I was to incorporate these, I wouldn't use them all together like this because I feel as though they're a little large. So I would just essentially pull them off like this and place them throughout individually, which is what we're going to do. So we'll do 2 of these. I also have some of this juniper. This came from Jacobson Floral. The item number is G5689. It has little juniper berries. This is pretty realistic. I really like this. And it matches the colors nicely. I have another one of these, the magnolia leaves. If we want to use them, we can. I have some of these. This is just a silver spray. This came from Jacobson as well. If you want the item number for this, I did use it in another tutorial. The rose gold wreath. So the item number is in that material list. So I'm just going to snip off a few pieces, and we could use them if we want. Alright. What else do we have? I have some of these. I feel as though these are a little heavy and a little large, but if we want to use them, we can use them later on. But these were used in the original Creator's Digest tutorial, but I trimmed them back quite a bit. So I put these over my trash can, and I just snipped them so that they were shorter. We also have some of this, which I kind of want to incorporate. I kind of like how this cascades. So I think we'll cut a couple pieces off pretty long. Like this. So like I said, hopefully the Mailbox swag is back in stock pretty soon. He did tell me that it was going to be back in stock at some point early this year. I'm hoping that's within the next month or so, or at least in the next couple weeks. Hi, you guys. Welcome. Welcome to all my new members, too. We also have some of this, which I kind of want to add a few pieces here and there. It kind of has kind of like a wintry white effect on it. So I have a larger piece right here. This has the red berries, but I feel as though I don't want the red berries in this just because I kind of don't want red in this at all. So I'm just taking them right off. They pull right out. And all I'm doing with these is just snipping them into smaller pieces. And some of these have pine cones on it. There we go. Alright, so I think I want a couple more pieces of at least the spruce. Like that. Alright, so I have those materials cut. I also have some ribbon. This came from, where'd it come from? This came from Hobby Lobby. It was $5.99. The item number is 5761168. You might not be able to find this exact one, but it is just 7/8 of an inch ribbon, so you can find this online. It's just a shimmering gold. Alright, so I'm pulling over my glue skillet. Everything's going to be just glued in with some hot glue for my glue skillet. But like I say in the past, I am going to be quite generous with the hot glue. I don't really skimp with my hot glue at all. But I am adding a few pieces of this pine just for texture. This has some of the icicles in it. And it kind of bulks it up a little bit. So what I'm doing is just placing a few pieces throughout. So for those of you that are new to the group, and haven't saved a file before, I do provide the material lists for certain tutorials. This one will not have one because we are using the majority is scraps, but we do have the material list from the other wreaths and projects we've done, and all of the videos will be composed in one file. It'll be a Google Doc, and all of the videos will be in a private YouTube account that you'll only have access to. And Monday, the file will be posted in the group, and at that point you can copy and paste it into, a separate Google Doc. You can write it down. It's just a link. You can send it in an email to yourself. You can send it to a separate private Facebook message to yourself. And as long as you have those letters and numbers and that link, you'll be all set with the file. And like I said before, the file has the material list and the videos inside of it, all labeled for you guys. And then that'll be up till Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for you to save. So now what I'm doing is just snipping off some pieces of this juniper. I said before this came from Jacobson Floral. I did provide the item number in the beginning if you are interested in using this exact one. And this will just be a nice texture, a nice added texture to it. Adding a few pieces here and there. So what I'm doing to the side that you guys are able to see, I'm replicating on the other side, and then afterwards, after the video, I will flip it around and do the same thing to the back, if it needs it. Okay, a few more pieces. It's funny, I have all of my friends sitting right in front of me and they're all watching the video. Alright, use this scrap. I say all of them, but I look over my shoulder and Tanya's playing Words with Friends. So the majority of them. Alright. So I'm going to wait to add these pieces until we add some of the picks, some of these glittered picks, before placing those in. Going to order my supplies for Mardi Gras swag tonight. Awesome. So we did do 2 swags in the group. We did one on a rail form, and then we did one on a teardrop form last week, using the scrap materials. So if you purchase the materials for the first one, all you'll need is the teardrop form and the second one, and you should be good to go. So now what I'm going to do is incorporate some of these icicles. So I am bending these as I work them in, just so that they're not standing straight out. And And like I said before, I am adding a good amount of hot glue and making sure it is secured tightly. So this one I just divided into 3 separate pieces, and we'll place those throughout. Let's say 60 days or 80 days till spring. 80 days till spring. Wow. It's a long ways away. Alright, a few more pieces of this and then we'll be done with these. So I think this would be perfect to use up all your scraps that you might have in your house. You know, like I said, some of these things were scraps, and others were just extra pieces that I bought for projects that I thought would need more. So if you ever have pieces like that, you know, this is a good project for it, because we're not using all that much material. I mean, you could obviously make it a lot more elaborate, or you could keep it very plain and simple like this and just add a few more icicles if you'd like. So I have one more pick here that we might as well use. And I'm also placing these icicles so that they cascade off each side, like this. And I think that just looks best. Same principles are for designing wreaths. You know, we try to work in a circular motion. You guys have seen in the past when I talk about greening the base with some ficus leaves or some fern leaves. I always work in the same direction unless we're working with a one-sided design, which in that case we work with the greens going in opposite directions where they meet in the middle. Alright, so now let's incorporate some of these. We did cut these into thirds, however I feel as though a few of them might need to be cut into even smaller pieces, but we'll work with some of the bigger ones in the center right now. So this color is kind of a soft gold. It's not as harsh as the really harsh gold that you see. So it is called champagne, which is very fitting for this time of year, for New Year's. And since it's a soft color, it's not super harsh, you can leave it up all winter long. So right now I'm placing a few pieces on either side, cascading down. And I am bending these slightly so that they don't stand straight out. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is divide a few more pieces in half. I have 2 pieces here, and then I do have some pieces over here. This is about half a pick, so we'll just divide this up into smaller pieces. We'll start with that, and we'll see where this takes us. And even for these smaller pieces, I am bending them. Alright, since we're here, we will fill in the back together. But as you can see, with just a few simple things, it's starting to fill in. You don't need a whole lot of ribbon. Honestly, you don't really need any at all. If you just work with these few things, it fills in nicely really fast. So someone just commented saying you would never know you had someone with you. That's how quiet you guys are. You guys aren't making a peep. Okay, so I'm going to spin it around. And then I'm just going to fill in a few more pieces. On this side. And like I said before, honestly, at this point you guys could stop. I think it's beautiful. If you wanted to add a few more of these picks and a few more of the icicles, you'd be good to go. For those of you that aren't selling, I think it's a beautiful piece as it is. And for those of you that are selling, you know, you still can get great value with this. If it was me, I would just add a few more picks to it, and then, you know, you could easily upcharge 50, 60 bucks. If you add a couple more picks, like I said, and if you add a little bit ribbon, you can charge 75. If you add flowers, you could even charge, you know, I would charge upwards of 100 once we add a few more of these, and then if I had some flowers of it, I would definitely be charging 100. But we'll see what we have. We'll see what we have to work with, and then we can determine that afterwards. Now what I'm doing is I'm gluing in some of these magnolia leaves. Like I said before, I am going to kind of hide them slightly. I do feel as though some of them are just a little too large for what we're working with. And these do bend. They are wired. So we are going to poke them pretty deep inside so that only a portion of it is revealed. And you might have to lift some of the picks to do so. Yep, the mailbox swag is from Craft Outlet. Right now it is out of stock, but they should be getting some very, very soon. So honestly, check on a daily basis. because they do sell out very, very fast. And like I said before, I am bending these slightly. Okay, so I want a few more leaves. Of the magnolia leaves. So I'm making sure that they're slightly hidden. Like I said, I only want a portion of it revealed because they are kind of large for this design. I don't want them to overwhelm the piece. So the mailbox came from Home Depot. I purchased it for about $11 if you want to purchase one to create your designs, if you sell them, or even if you just want to, honestly buy it and then return it. But the stand that it's on is actually a plate that I use. It's a florist plate for a centerpiece. And then the other one is a planter box that says Happy Holidays. And that's what I'm using to kind of lift it up off the table. Because you do want your mailbox topper to cascade a little bit over the mailbox. All right, so I think that's enough magnolia. I do want one more in the front, so we'll place one more in the front. And I'll turn this around. So with what we just added, I would charge at least $10 to $12 more, at least, probably closer to $15. But now let's incorporate a few of these greens. Like I said, I did kind of want these cascading down. I do feel as though this is a little long, so we're going to trim this one. And I am bending this. So we'll do one long piece on either side. So what you saw I just did on this side, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And then I have a few pieces that we cut off because they were kind of long, and we'll just incorporate those throughout as well. So I'll place one piece here. And that just ties in whatever type of greenery this is throughout. And then I have a few shorter pieces, and we'll just trim them off into smaller sections and place them into the piece. So I attached it in the beginning. If you're just tuning in, all I did was I bent it snugly so that it fit around the mailbox. You can use command strips if you want to attach it more securely, but in all honesty, you guys, I feel as though if you even tighten it a little bit more, just by squeezing it, it'll hold. It is pretty thick wire. It's very thick, so I don't feel as though it's gonna fly off. But when they arrive straight, so you could use it as a swag on your door. And I do have a tutorial showing you guys how to do that. It was the elf tutorial from Home Talk. It had elf legs and a little sign and an elf hat. But Magnolia has been very popular this year. I love it. I love using it, using fresh greens, fresh Magnolia greens. But it is a big seller for me, and I know it will be for you guys too. So now I just want to incorporate a very, very few pieces of the silver. I'll probably divide them to single pieces just so it doesn't overwhelm the design. And I'm gluing these in as well. And I am being quite generous. Even though these are pieces that are really small, I am still putting a good amount of hot glue. This will be outside, so you do want to think of it being exposed to the wind, the rain, the snow. So when designing this, think of it as a half wreath, like the half wreath I taught you earlier this month. If you keep those principles in mind, it'll turn out beautiful. Whatever you do to one side, reverse the direction of the other side. And have it meet in the middle. Okay, a few more pieces of this. All right. So I see one more piece that I could add. Right there. So if I was to incorporate this chicken wire, I would probably cut it into smaller pieces and then just have those pieces sticking out like this. I think that is very pretty. You know what? Maybe we'll incorporate a few of them just to show you guys. So if I was cutting this, which I'm doing right now, I would not be using my scissors. I don't recommend you guys use your scissors as well. You're cutting through chicken wire. It'll wear out your scissors really, really fast. Just like that. So all I'm doing is just pinching it at the base. And then hot gluing that. Being quite generous with the hot glue, as always. The chicken wire came from Hobby Lobby. I think it was $13.99 a roll. And, so far we've got a mailbox swag, a mailbox topper and a wreath out of it. And together those pieces will probably end up being $250 combined, I'm thinking, at least. So the $13.99 does pay for itself. So I cut 4 pieces just to show you guys what you can do with it. All I'm doing is pinching it at the base with a good amount of hot glue and then just placing it in, and then it adds a different type of texture. So now we're going to do that to this side. So if you want to add some ribbon at this point, you can. If I was to incorporate this, I would just do single loops and place that throughout. So let's do a couple of those, and then, very simply, I'm just cutting extra lengths of ribbon. I'm not even making sure that they're the same length. If you have scraps, use them up. I am dovetailing the ends, and then we'll use a pipe cleaner. Just taking a pipe cleaner, cutting a little length of it, twisting it around the ribbon, and then cutting the extra off. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to wrap it around itself so that we kind of have a thick piece in the bottom. And then we're going to place that into the glue skillet, and then place that throughout. The same way we did with the chicken wire. So you do want the ribbon just to accent the piece. You don't want it to overwhelm. So I wouldn't be doing big bows for this style. For other different style mailbox toppers, you could add bows. But for this, I'll just be doing a few single loops. So just place them throughout. We'll do a couple more. That one's a little short. So just create a single loop. Nothing too fancy. So what I'll end up probably having is 3 on either side. Hopefully, if I'm able to get 6 pieces. All right. Love the Home Talk one. You had a huge audience. Thank you. I know. It was crazy having, I think we peaked at 9,500 live viewers today, which is amazing, especially with the Facebook algorithm changing. We've had less viewers on Home Talk, so today was a nice surprise. And I didn't know what I was doing until 5 minutes before making it. So, sometimes you just got to wing things in life, and today was one of those days. Alright, so I need one more pipe cleaner. We'll add a piece here. I am using white pipe cleaners just so that if any of the pipe cleaner does show, it's not distracting and you don't really see it all that much. So I'll place this right about here. Just like that. And if you wanted to incorporate some single pieces, you could do this and just tuck them in the same way we did with the loops, but I feel as though the loops are kind of a little bit more fancy. So I have one more piece of this, might as well place it in. And there we go. So if you wanted to incorporate the 7/8 inch ribbon, you could add it into small pieces as well. But for this design, I am not going to be doing that just because I feel as though this is enough. And for this piece, I would probably charge $80 once I fill it in a little bit in the back. Right here, I have more of these pieces that are in the other room. You guys don't need to see that. It's the same process that we did to the front. But that is how much I would charge once we fill that little bit in the back in. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I have one more tomorrow. It is the alternative Valentine's Day wreath, the smaller one. If you are interested in seeing the material list for that, it is in the files section on the group. And you can order the link. You can order the supplies directly from those links. You know, I made it easy for you guys. You guys just click the links and it takes you right to the site and right to the exact products. But I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Awesome. All right, you guys, have a good one. I'll see you all tomorrow.